Whether by modernizing the biofuel production from waste sector or by investing in the circular economy, innovation is becoming more and more closely linked to the environment. Take the case of PRIO with its national network for biofuel production from waste, or UpValue with its wide range of green solutions for companies. Check out another episode of 10x Forward.
Hello, Tomas.
Hi, Christina.
Funny how we are so connected to Startup Braga and we never meet here in Braga. I don't know why is that, but...
I think it's when we first met in PRIO's startup bootcamp, it was really refreshing to see that PRIO also looks at small companies like startups and tries to get innovation from outside and fuel themselves with this kind of innovative processes. So yeah, it's a shame you should come more times to Braga because we are here at Startup Braga. But I also like Aveiro. I studied in Aveiro, so it's always a pleasure to go there. But tell me more about PRIO.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that you find refreshing that we get innovation from startups. Actually, we are a rather young company in our sector, so we'll turn 18 years old at the end of the year, and we kind of feel like a startup because our the world of energy companies, it's filled with big companies from the oil sector, and we have always felt like the startup, and that's why we have Jumpstart, our open innovation program, where we met. Because we really think that in order to maintain this reverent style, this startup style, we really need to talk to develop projects with startups, with entrepreneurs, so that we keep this spirit alive.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm the director of R&D and innovation in PRIO. I've been in PRIO since the beginning. So for me, it's rather easy to talk about innovation and to tell my colleagues, oh, you should innovate more, you should think outside of the box, and all that sentences that for them they are empty. So we really need to bring inside the structure examples like UpValue and the bootcamps of our programs. Are very relevant for that. You remember that you met lots of my colleagues from other business areas. Those days are very important for the innovation that we try to keep along the year, because they really feel inspired with your examples. They also feel like kind of important because they have the opportunity to share their challenges with the entrepreneurs and their vision on some subjects. So it's really it's a very important part of our innovation program, the open innovation programs that we have, like Jumpstart, where we work with startups like UpValue.
For me, PRIO is a really good example of how. For instance, when we are talking about startups, we normally think about one problem and we try to solve that problem, but obviously we have a scale problem, right? So at first we can't solve, and when we start scaling up, we start seeing other problems. And for us, that we look at waste as a resource, we really have PRIO, and that's why we wanted to participate in your bootcamp, because we saw PRIO as this big company in one of the most difficult sectors, and they still get to be successful while maintaining the sustainability part. So it's a really good role model for us to see, okay, see, you can be big, you can be sustainable, and you can be competitive.
We try to keep that triangle that you mentioned, of the profitability, the sustainability, the innovation, so in place. That's true, and we have that in common. What you said about the residues and the wastes. As you know, we started in 2007 producing biodiesel from virgin vegetable oils. The technology provider didn't want to hear anything about one drop of used cooking oil at the time. I remember that. And then we took the way and start trying different residues. We start to use cooking oils, but now we use more than a dozen different residues that come from different sources, industrial sources, domestic sources. So we really need solutions like UpValue, because nowadays that we work almost exclusively with residues as a raw material for our advanced biodiesel, we really need solutions like UpValue that make the connection to like a bridge. I see you like a bridge between the residues source, so the producers of the different residues, and the companies like PRIO and others that depend on residues as raw materials. So it's, I think we need more solutions like UpValue.
What we really think, and that's why we think UpValue is going to be successful, is because the same way you want the people that produce the waste, they don't want the waste. So
exactly. Sometimes they have to pay.
Yeah, they pay to treat that waste.
Exactly.
Obviously, we have this problem regarding legislation and stuff like that, because there's a lot of gray area in this part, because what is waste, what is not waste.
That's true. The regulation part,
it's difficult. And from our experience with our clients, what we feel is that, for instance, giving the example of PRIO made a path to actually getting to work really good with residues. Most of the companies never even thought of it, and as you probably must know, in a more profound way than I, it's really tough to work with residues, because in terms of quality control, everything is different. You have to constantly be adapting and adjusting.
That's true.
And for us, that's a bit of a problem, because even if we find a company interested in a certain waste, that waste will never be exactly the same every month. It's not like raw materials. And that's because companies that are receiving waste need to be aware that they have to adapt, they have to have an agile process.
That's true, that's true.
And
it's a challenge.
Sometimes I know that people say that sustainability, companies are really worried about sustainability. I am not that sure. I mean, obviously they want to be sustainable.
We are.
You are. But the problem is, I think that most of the companies, they want to be sustainable, but at what price? Or is that really, are they willing to invest in a different, like yourself, that you made this process? It's not an easy path. I mean,
yes, we invested a lot in different
and nowadays, I think that
operations.
Obviously you are very experienced with that, and now you can really collect the benefits. But it took you a while, probably. Yeah. And most companies are not willing to go that path. So, and that's why you see some greenwashing and stuff like that, in my opinion. Because examples like PRIO, because PRIO has another dimension that I really found it fascinating, because PRIO then sells their biodiesel to other rivals, right? So it's like the perfect definition of ecosystem.
Yes, yes.
You are producing biodiesel, and then you are selling to your competitors that compete with you in other aspects. So I really think that it's how an economy should develop. I mean, you have some things, they have other things, they have other dimensions, but still you can, although you are competitors in the market, you can still be able to negotiate and to have a proper...
to cooperate.
To cooperate.
Yeah. And what about you? Do you also, here in Startup Praga, for example, do you also cooperate with other startups? What is the role of Startup Praga as a facilitator?
I think that the contact with other startups in Startup Praga has different, we have different benefits from it, not mainly the commercial part, because a startup normally has products to solve big companies or bigger companies' problems. Other startups have the same, so we, although we are normally in different sectors and stuff like that, we are not competing and we are not each other's clients. However, what I think that this environment does to us is you are in contact with a lot of experiences. either it's contests, either it's open innovation stuff. So you are in an ecosystem that you can see what others are doing it, and in my opinion, we should reflect and see, is that applicable to us?
Okay.
So what we try is to see other examples. We try to discuss with other entrepreneurs. I mean, there are stuff like funding and stuff. It's more technical, more difficult. And sometimes you talk with other startups, and if you can do that,
maybe I can
do it also
Okay.
in my own terms or with different values. But it's really important because, especially when you talk to older startups that are already on a different stage, and they have the same problems that we have. So we just need to really understand the problem and see how is that applied to me, and then you can evolve and try not to make that mistake. But I think it's a community that are not interested financially with each other, but that makes even easier to share because we are not in competition with others. But also, it's also a good thing, the pressure that gives to you, because you see your friends, your fellow startup entrepreneurs having huge successes, and you say, okay, if they can, we also can. So it's also this healthy competition.
Sometimes you start with an idea.
Yeah,
you don't even have
we don't
a
have a
platform
product,
or
nothing.
a product. Yeah, exactly.
So
it must be very challenging.
No, yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're never prepared for your first startup, that's for sure, and you are learning through the process.
Okay.
So I've realized during these 3 years that the mistakes are there, and the important thing is to make mistakes. But to make mistakes faster and solve them faster. So do not be so worried about this is a tragedy and stuff like that. No.
Fail fast.
Fail fast, exactly. So, Cristina, we see PRIO at Aveiro. How did you end up here in Startup Praga, and why?
That's a good question, Tomás. That's a good question. As you know, we have this open innovation program, Jumpstart, and it has been running since 2017. So we had the first, I would say, pilot year, that was that year, 2017. And then when we decided to go stronger with Jumpstart and really make Jumpstart a part of PRIO's identity, we realized that we needed to make partnerships with the different accelerators and incubators that exist in our Portuguese ecosystem. Because as you know, Jumpstart is an international program, so we receive applications from all over the world. But we try to focus the scouting in Portugal, and of course we want to generate value here. So we started in 2018 with a kind of crazy thing, what was a pitch and drive thing, and what was it? So we contacted different incubators, so Startup Praga in Porto, Lisbon, so in different cities of Portugal, trying to cover the biggest incubators in Portugal. And of course, Startup Praga was already very, very important at that time. And we challenged them to do a pitch and drive day. So we had these electric cars, Tesla and Jaguar, I think, or BMW, I'm not sure the first year, because we did it with different cars, different years. So, and the idea was we invited startups that were somehow related with our program to make like a test drive in an innovative car at the time and make a pitch. And Startup Praga was one of the most enthusiastic about this initiative. It was really good to talk to them. And since then, so we have been doing several things together. Startup Praga is always a very important source of applications for our program. And one of the biggest success cases of Jumpstart is Automaze, that was also incubated here. And I mentioned Automaze because it's one case that we'd like to replicate with other startups. So we did a pilot that is, as you know, the main focus of Jumpstart in short term, and today they are our suppliers with long-term contracts, and we work them in different business areas with the different impacts. So pricing, in also the use of AI in how we contact, communicate with our customers. So, and it started with a small pilot. So this is really something that we would like to be able to do with all the startups that win Jumpstart. And Startup Braga is always ready to go with these initiatives and to help us do the sourcing of the best startups. And so far, all the startups that we have dealt here in Braga are very, very good, like UpValue.
Now, for us, for us it was an obvious choice because we started with our idea, we started developing and trying to scout the best team to really try to make it real. And as I said, as a startup, it's not great to start in your own office or in you're too isolated. So then we start seeing, and obviously Startup Braga in the region was the one that stand out. We came here, we loved the space. It's really important for me to have a space where people are they are happy to come here. So it's not an isolated space. You are in the city center. The building is historic, so you have a lot of different intangible things that I think that really motivates people. And Braga has this, I think it's because it's smaller than Porto and Lisbon in Portugal. They have this necessity of going, like we need to do more, because otherwise they will just get bigger and bigger, the other two, comparing to us. So in Braga, we kind of feel that. So the industry around us, everything, they want to get bigger because they want to compete not only national but internationally.
How do you see Startup Braga and sustainability in the future? So do you think this is a very important topic for Startup Braga? How do you see that in the future?
Yeah, I see that Startup Braga has different priority areas. Sustainability is one of them, and I start seeing a lot in terms of the focus of the financing, the financing programs and stuff like that. So sustainability has been a huge. There are huge incentives for that. For startups, I really think that sustainability needs to have impact. So if you are a really small company working with just one client, I don't think that you can call that you are making this huge impact. But what we try to do is, and what we see in the future is, obviously we work a lot with the digital areas, so to connect people, to break the barriers, the location barriers. And obviously when we are talking about the internet, you're talking about nowadays with artificial intelligence, you are talking about models that can optimize and suggestions, and how can we need to create this ecosystem where companies feel comfortable trading with others, and really almost as every item that's on a platform, it's the right match for them. So we are working a lot in that in terms of AI, we call it the matchmaking. So when we see a waste, we somehow characterize it and we find a suitable taker for that waste.
Okay. And do you use AI algorithms for that?
So what we have is this massive database with different properties of typical wastes, and then we try to match that with the necessities of the companies, the profile of companies that are on the platform. Obviously, I think that the most difficult part of every startup is to have a pool of companies, of profiles that you can test and create your own models. because otherwise you have insufficient data to have your databases to be big enough so you can use an AI model. But that's why we try to work with big companies in each sector, because they have really there are great challenges ahead of us, and that's why we try to work with big companies, because they have already that problems, and they have the scale, because the scale is important. And for us, especially the international part, we need to start to go international, because as PRIO well know,
you need to grow.
Yeah, we need to
need
grow.
To fly.
Yeah, we need the dimension of other companies and the dimension of other countries in terms of waste to really start to have a really good traction. So in Cristina, all this pressure around sustainability of the consumer, of the government, everyone is pressing towards sustainability.
That's true.
How does a company like PRIO that has always been in trying to compete with to be the number one in terms of sustainability, how do you adapt to these quick changes and stuff like that?
Actually, for us, we try to see that as an opportunity, because as you said, we have always worked in producing more sustainable solutions for the energy transition. So as we are a very young company, although we also sell some traditional solutions for mobility, we have been around all these years always focusing in more sustainable solutions. So we try to see that as an opportunity. Of course, we have been investing a lot in people, in human resources. So we have now a small team dedicated to the corporate sustainability. We also feel lots of pressure from the funding, and both when you talk with in a bank or you apply to a European project or to a national project, you always have to think about sustainability and do no harm principles. They are always present in the conversation. Actually, for our area, the innovation area, actually it is helping us gaining traction, because we gain importance, you know, because we have always worked in the development of more efficient and more sustainable solutions, but some of them were ideas that we had, and so let's start developing that, because this will be needed. Our customers will need these solutions, and now it's the time. So our customers are finally saying, we need more sustainable fuels. Okay, we have them. So what do you want? Do you want HVO? Do you want biodiesel? Do you want electric mobility? Do you want hydrogen? So actually, what was one of the biggest disadvantages of PRIO in the beginning, that was the fact that we don't own a refinery. We now see that as our biggest opportunity, because whatever the future of energy for mobility is, we want to be there and we want to explore the solutions, because we really see that energy in the future to cope with all the sustainability objectives and the net zero. So we need many solutions. I think some of them are not yet invented, or at least in commercial scale, and we need startups to take them and to have that big ideas, and we need more companies that are willing to test, like you were saying, to test the different solutions, because we will need many different solutions to cope with these very, very demanding objectives that we have.
So, Cristina, it was really great to see you. It's always a good chat. I always like to talk about sustainability innovation, so you are the perfect person for so, see you around. I hope you come here to Braga more times, and we will also pay you a visit in PRIO.
Yes, it was very interesting talking to you, Tomás. Thank you for your time. Yeah, it was really nice. And of course, you are always welcome in Aveiro. Thank you.